manage our life, our military life, and our businesses without combusting, I guess is the best way to put it. Because some days, I don't know about you guys, but I totally feel like I'm going to lose my mind because there are not enough hours in the day. And I have so many people pulling at me and wanting my attention and needing my attention. And um, my passion for my businesses is strong. So finding that balance is hard. Um, you know, it was interesting because somebody asked me how I got into doing the emotional side of military life and helping people with that emotional side of running a business. And, it's because I screwed up regularly. I am Anxiety is not something that is a joke. I have it, I work on it, and I have learned little tips and tricks to help me find that balance. Because for a long time, I spent a lot of my time flying by the seat of my pants. I don't know about you, but I had no idea how I actually landed a book deal or um, had a little bit of success. And I look back and I realized that it really, what I didn't have a business. And I had results that were small, but I had this thought that it should be something different than it was. So um, when we're talking about it, it's three things. I have three key principles to find that balance, I guess. And feel free to jump in and ask questions at any time. But um, the three things that I work on is I carve out space in my mind. The second is I learn to turn it off. And the third is I learn to enhance my communication. Because those three things are kind of like this magic formula that lets me kind of handle all the busyness in my business, if that makes any sense. So um, I know that my business sometimes can feel like this life-sucking mess that doesn't allow me to do anything else. And for a long time, I didn't carve out a place in my mind and to be able to run my business. I kind of just, like I said, I flew by the seat of my pants. I had no systems. I had no marketing plan. I had no plan. I really had no measures to see what was working and what wasn't. And so what happened is that I had this idea that my business would be successful and I had expectations, but the expectations and um, my efforts didn't go hand in hand. So that created a lot of stress. So when I began to carve out pieces or carve out a place in my mindset and in my thought process that made my business a priority, instantly my stress levels decreased. Um, so as we're going through this, it's like the biggest question I want you to ask yourself is, do you do your blog or your podcast or whatever your small business is? Do you do it like a business or do you do it like a hobby? And it's one of those things that, are you treating your business and committed to it, treating it with the respect it deserves? Or is it kind of an afterthought that you do in the nooks and crannies of your life? For a long time, that's how it was. If I was bored at night watching TV, I'd throw a little social media on there. I might, the day my blog actually went up, or I'd put it out on a few social medias, and the next day I'd do it, and then I wouldn't do anything with that content for a month, and then I'd throw the link up again when I needed some more traffic or something like that. There was no plan, there was no execution that had any consistency. And what would happen is my numbers would go up and down and up and down, and I'm not a big blog by any means. Speaking is that's my sweet spot. That's the thing I love. And the blog is a way to kind of keep in touch with the people that I speak to. So the goal of my blog is a little bit different. However, I found that I spent a lot of time comparing my numbers and my results to the people that were doing it consistently, growing their audience and putting out, content 3 and 4 times a week, forgetting what my intent and goals for my blog were. Just because something has the potential to be an income stream doesn't mean that it's the thing that you should do for your business. And understanding that and carving out that reality check inside my mind took a lot of the stress off. And I still have to work on that because I look and these great campaigns come across and I'll be like, oh, I could do that if I only had 5,000 more people or 10,000 more page views or things like that. And then I go, okay, I need to step up my game and get all these things. And I'm like, wait a minute. Then I get all stressed out because I'm trying to put more content out there and I can't do it all. So understanding what your goals are for your business and deciding how that will work and then committing to that strategy and looking at it from a very professional and business-like way, you can't expect Fortune 500 results if you're just willing to put it and give your business the attention in the nooks and crannies. And so when I got that strategy, or I understood that concept better, then that took a lot of my stress away. So that was the first thing, is like carving out that space in my mind that was a reality check and understanding that my goals might be different than other people's, and that's okay. So are there any questions about that one before I move on to the second thing? Or are we okay? Okay. So the next thing that I find, I'm going to start out just kind of want you to think about, when you think about your business and your home life, when do you turn your business off? When do you stop thinking of it? My answer was never. I mean, my husband and I would get into fights because I didn't know how to turn it off. I still have trouble turning it off. And, the question is, I always was like, I'll turn it off later. When I do this, when I reach this goal, I'll turn it off. And when I reach that goal, I'll turn it off. When will you turn it off? That's the biggest question that I want you to take away tonight. It's like, will it be when you reach $1 million in sales, or have 500,000 followers and page views, or when you have a staff, or when your book gets published? When is enough? When is that place? For me, it's like this. There's always this internal struggle that goes on. And especially if I'm in a growth phase or if I'm traveling a lot, is this inside, there's this tug of war that goes on between grow faster, move. I have to do it now because, there's some traction. I have to maximize that. There's this campaign and I want to get there, and I see that this person has just exploded and I should be able to do that, and all those kind of things. And then the other side of the coin is, if I do those things, how will it affect myself and my family? And I don't know about you, but it's really easy for me to go, especially for myself, my needs and taking care of myself gets put on the back burner because I have to capitalize on whatever new thing can help me get more traffic and help me, move faster and bring more money in. So, and I wish that it was different, but the business oftentimes wins that tug of war. And in a lot of ways, it consumes my life. And then sometimes I'm okay with that. And other times I see how it affects my family, and that's not always a good thing. And I also know that when I'm pushing faster, more, I'm not doing everything to the best of my ability. So I find that I'm putting out fires more so than if I just took a breath and then found that sweet spot between moving forward and recharging my battery and refilling myself up, because we don't do that enough. And sometimes when we're doing things with a battery that's almost to empty, the way that we do it isn't the quality that we were before, but we just go, it's good enough and move on because there's so much on our to-do list. And that's almost counterproductive. And that's when you get that moving forward, 2 steps back, forward, back motion that happens in our stats and our numbers and our campaigns and our busyness. So, the ways that I combat that is, to establish clear boundaries of when I'm working and when it's playtime. Work hard, play hard. I think a lot of us do. We try to do that. We don't always succeed. And it's really important to step away from your business because it's in those moments that sometimes we get the clarity we're looking for because we give our minds the ability to rest and relax and find out how to fix those problems on their own. The other thing is that shifting gears. So often if we don't know how to turn it off, we don't shift the gears into being mom or wife or husband or whatever, or PTA person. If we don't shift gears, we can't fully engage in anything. And so nothing feels complete. And we feel like we're half-assing everything. Excuse my language, but we're doing it halfway to the best of our ability, and that messes with our confidence and our how we feel about ourselves and what we're putting out there. So it's really important to learn to turn it off and to carve out that place. And the last thing I just want to talk about is finding that balance. And the way to not mess up our lives with our families is really about that communication piece. I know that the most times that my husband and I argue, or when the kids before they went to college, where the most friction was when we weren't communicating, when I wasn't setting clear expectations and they weren't setting their expectations, and the way we talked and did things weren't in sync. And as entrepreneurs, we are not the easiest people to live with, because we are always doing something, right? We're always our minds are on 30 things. My husband doesn't think that way. And, we don't understand that their filter and the way they look at the world is very different from ours. My husband is very much one thing he's working on, that's where his focus is. Me, I can be in a conversation, even just talking to you guys right now. I hear my puppy downstairs in her crate. I have, my to-do list still over here of what I still have to do. All these things are still going on in the background, and I'm still doing what I'm doing. But our family doesn't get that. And unless we learn how to communicate better as entrepreneurs, we'll have stress in our families. Often our loved ones get us better than we give them credit for, and they know when those red flags are happening, or when we're on the verge of burnout, or when we really need to slow down, because they can see those little things that we keep brushing off. So when they say, man, why don't you take the weekend off and just relax a little bit? Listen, because they see it first more than we do. And, the communication thing breaks down to, and I could do a whole thing on this, their filter is different than ours. When our filter says that they don't respect what we're doing because they want us to be done and they're angry that 5 more minutes is really not 5 minutes, they're feeling like it's not as important as they are, that we think our work is more important. Their filter might say that, we are obsessive, where we think we're just being focused, and they might feel that they're being shortchanged, where we go, I'm doing this all for you. Can't you see that I'm doing this for our future later? But, my filter and I'm betting some of your guys, it's like it's hard to see the choices that I make and how they affect my family, but I know that when what I do affects my family, it causes more stress for me. So it's finding those ways to spend time turning things off, have special sections where you work and people know not to bother you. Just setting up those expectations that are true and real will help things be less stressed. So, the three key ways to find that balance is really, making sure your business is right in your mind, knowing when to turn it off, and communicating effectively with those that you love about what's important to you, what you're trying to accomplish, and how it affects your life when you're feel supported by them, and vice versa. If your kids keep saying, "Mommy, Mommy," and you go, "Yeah, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes," that will cause more stress because they'll act out and then your problems are worse. So that communication piece is way huge. So I know, kind of breezed through a bunch of stuff. So if there's any questions or thoughts that you have or things, I'm happy to answer those too. Anything?
Judy, do you have any suggestions for how to actually just turn it off or stop? Because I feel like even when I'm away from it, I'm never actually away from it. And
Right. Well, the first thing and I totally get it, and I found that if I have two phones, it helps. I have a work phone, and that's where all of my social media stuff is on, and then I have a personal phone because we don't have a home phone anymore. So when I am done, when work is closed, I literally put my work phone on silent and it's in my office and I don't look at it. So that's one thing. The constant bing of social media pulls me back in. Or if I'm sitting somewhere and I just have my phone, it's really easy to pop up analytics or to see how a post is trending or, something like that. The other thing is that I try and set hours of that I'm actually working and try and have that as a schedule. My worst productivity is between the hours of about 1 till 3:30, 4 o'clock. So I schedule downtime during that time unless there's a specific call that I have to do, a conference call or something. But usually I try and make that time my personal time. And then I do work early. Then I have breakfast, with my husband when he comes home from PT and stuff. And then I do dinner with my family. And when they all go to bed, I also will work at night because I am a night owl. So setting strict hours of operation and trying not to work within the others really cuts down on my need to have it on all the time because I know that in 4 hours I will be able to get back to it. And the other thing is just, it's almost like a mindset piece, Joe, in that it's okay not to return an email the second it pops in your email. It's okay not to respond to a messenger message the second it pings. We've gotten to become, especially as small business owners, we have this, at least I do, I shouldn't say we, I have this belief that if I don't pick up that call or I don't respond to something or that campaign and I don't do it in the first 2 seconds it comes across, I might miss the perfect opportunity that will make my business perfect, grow like crazy. And the reality is we just have to learn to breathe and trust that we will grow and our businesses will thrive. And there is more than enough to go around, and it doesn't have to happen all in the 24 hours today, if that makes any sense. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's perfect. I have tried to do all of those things and I'm terrible at them, but I will
Hmm.
continue working to
Yeah.
that. I think,
And sometimes you just need to, find something. And I know you do a lot of, crafts and things like that, and that's perfect. Um, you know, I don't know if I ever truly turn off my brain because I always am thinking of, I always see the needs, and I think that's just how entrepreneurs are wired. We see the need and we go, wow, I could fill that. Just because you can fill it doesn't mean that you have to, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. Thank you.
Hmm. Okay. Anyone else have a question? I see Randy Karn's beautiful face on there. Okay. So if anybody else has anything, feel free to message me. You can find me on Facebook in the group. Um, and I'm happy to, help out with that emotional side. I know we kind of whizzed through a bunch of stuff today, but I'm here to help anytime.
Judy, thank you so much for
Yep.
taking time, especially because I know that like life has been insane for you these past couple weeks.
You deserve it.
Um, I think I know you love it, but you also need time to like eat and take showers and sleep and
Yeah.
stuff. um, but
Yep.
next time we are going to, our next hangout is with Tara from an Aiming High Wife. She's going to be talking about how to find inspiration and how to organize it so you don't lose it. So that information will be in the Facebook group. Put it on your calendar. It's very exciting. And then the next one after that, I'm actually doing on Pinterest. So put that on your calendar as well. It's like I think it's November 10th. But I
Yeah.
could be wrong because I'm not looking at my calendar. So,
Okay. And that
oh,
one will be recorded, right? Because
yes,
I will
yes.
actually be vacationing. My husband and I are vacationing. So after
Woo!
all my travel, we're leaving for a week. So going
Oh,
to Vegas. He picked it, and we're going to Vegas, which is not, very calming and relaxing, but, whatever.
I'm sure they have a spa or something somewhere there you can
Well,
find. Very
he
luxurious.
did it so that I could go and be with all of our friends from Michigan. There are 48 of our friends, so 24 couples and friends of ours that we hung out with in Michigan. He organized it, and we're all meeting there at the same time.